Hey everyone, it's Paul. Today is November 23rd, 2025. Wanted to take you back 40 years ago today to the Billboard Hot 100 chart for the week ending November 23rd, 1985, to talk about two of my all-time favorite songs that reached their peak position on today's date in 1985. You know, when I think of late 1985, I think of a couple legendary artists who released some really great music that for one reason or other failed to make the top 10 on the Hot 100. I think of artists like Diana Ross with Eaten Alive, Billy Joel, The Night Is Still Young, Don Henley with Sunset Grill, three of my all-time favorite 80s songs, and none of those songs from these legendary artists made the top 10. And the next two songs that I want to talk about actually fall into that same category. First one is from an artist who really had what I consider to be one of the most defining moments in 80s pop music, with such a huge comeback that, looking back on, was so phenomenal. Released the album Private Dancer, gave us so many great hits from that album. Of course, I'm talking about the legendary Tina Turner. When that album came out, to see her have such a huge comeback with that. As a kid, I didn't really know much about her past. I knew a couple songs, but as an adult, as I've learned more about her and about her past history, you know, to look at that moment, I mean, wow, what a moment. I mean, think of the hits that came from that album. They were so big, and I love that she continued to have such a huge career after that album. What a moment for her. But after that album came out, she participated in Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome and participated in the soundtrack, giving us the great #2 hit, We Don't Need Another Hero, and the song that is actually my all-time favorite song from her, One of the Living. I love this song. I remember at the time thinking it sounded so hard and so haunting. I love the vocals, love the guitar, love the drum, love everything about it. I mean, I thought it was just such a fantastic song. Used to hear it a lot on the radio, and I was kind of surprised when it didn't do as well as it should have done on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. Here's a picture of the 45. So 40 years ago today, One of the Living began a 2-week run at a peak of number 15 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. Again, my all-time favorite song from Tina Turner. I love it so much. Next song I want to talk about is from another legendary artist. You know, when I think back to my early childhood, there are two artists that I can remember loving as a kid so much. I love Dionne Warwick, and I also loved the artist I'm about to talk about, Olivia Newton-John. Of course, Olivia gave us so many great songs in the 70s, participated in Grease, one of the biggest movies with the biggest movie soundtracks, moved into the 80s, gave us Physical, the longest running #1 song of the 80s at 10 weeks. And she moved into the mid-80s with an album that a lot of fans either seem to love or dislike. This one is probably the most controversial in her registry here. I'm in the position of that I love that album. And I love the title track to it. It's Soul Kiss from Olivia Newton-John. So with this album, people kind of considered this to be an attempt to be kind of like a Madonna. The lyrics and the content were a lot more adult than she had done in the past. I mean, people had considered Physical to be pretty risque when it was out. That was nothing compared to Soul Kiss. So Soul Kiss really kind of took it to that next level. And I remember seeing the video on VH1 and seeing her, you know, in this red negligee on these red satin sheets and kind of being surprised by it. But I mean, I loved it so much. I remember hearing the song on WMQT Q107 out of Marquette, Michigan a lot. They used to play it. And I remember at the time just thinking, you know, it sounded so crisp and so clear. And I loved it so much. And I remember looking at records when we would go to the big city of Marquette, Michigan, going to Shopko and looking at the 45s. And I remember seeing the 45 there, and I loved the picture sleeve of it. Here's the picture sleeve of Soul Kiss. So with Soul Kiss, the photography from that era is actually my favorite from her. I love kind of the mysterious look. I love on this 45, which is my all-time favorite picture sleeve of any album, any 45, any cassette, any CD. I love this picture. But what I love about it is just, I love kind of the wild hair, the dangling, sparkling earring, the mysterious eyeshadow with the veil covering the face. the blue tint. I mean, I love this. And I remember seeing this in Shopko and just wanting it so bad. And I asked my grandma had asked me actually what I wanted for Christmas that year. And I told her 45 for Soul Kiss, and she got it for me. So thank you, Grandma, for that. But I played the heck out of the 45. And when I first met Olivia in 2014, she kindly signed a 45 of it for me. And when I told her it was my all-time favorite song that she had done, she actually looked at me kind of quizzically and was like, really? Kind of surprised that somebody would consider Soul Kiss to be a favorite song, but I loved it, and I played the heck out of it. But 40 years ago today, Soul Kiss reached a peak position of number 20 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, and I knew it was in trouble that week. I remember specifically listening to the countdown that week, and it had only moved up one notch, and I knew that could not be good. So it reached its peak of number 20 40 years ago today, and then unfortunately started falling down the chart. So there we have it. Two of my all-time favorite songs, Soul Kiss from Olivia Newton-John and One of the Living from Tina Turner. Both of these songs reached their peak position 40 years ago today on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. One of the Living went to number 15, and Soul Kiss went to number 20. Let me know in the comments if either of these songs are your favorites, and I will see you later. Take care, everyone. Bye.